You found the skeleton. How would you tell it's a dinosaur? You personally, how would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Matt with Maddie. This time, Maddie managed to stop talking less than a second before we went up on screen. So well done, Maddie. That was perfect timing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I only made you readjust the camera 3 times,
Yeah,
so yeah, I have to keep you on your toes somehow. Thank you.
Yeah, no, and I mean, it does. Between figuring out when to unmute and how to fix your framing in the camera. Because one thing, I don't know if everyone knows, but like, everyone who appears on the show on camera is cropped to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just basically so I can keep things reasonably consistent in terms of like framing and whatnot. But what that means is anytime anyone ever shifts position even a little bit, I have to readjust a little bit. So, and as you can tell, Maddie is in a different location. So everything was chaos.
Everything was chaos. My mic, my Yeti, I think, has died a horrible death.
Ooh.
Because it's really just the connector. But I've tripped and ripped the cord out too many times.
Yeah, that's rough.
Hey.
Mm-hmm.
Has your toddler discovered Paw Patrol? Because mine has.
Mine has not, because I do not have a toddler.
Yeah. Toddler's great. I love her. Paw Patrol, I'm not a fan of. I'm not even in the, it's like propaganda for babies, because it's literally just like things go vroom, right? That's the whole show, is things, big truck go vroom.
Right.
And meaner. And that's it.
Vishanti pops in to say ACAB includes Paw Patrol.
Listen, I'm here to defund Paw Patrol. I'm here for it. To be honest, most of my complaints are not about the underlying structure of Adventure Bay and systemic inequalities built into the system, but more so, guys, it's the same story. There's a setup, and then we call the pups, and they suit up, and there's a suit up sequence, and each of them has a thing that they say behind their name. Each of them has a little catchphrase that we have to go through as they get their outfit. And there's the cop one, and the fire one,
yeah.
and the garbage truck one, and then the girl one, and
the girl one.
The girl one. It really is, because there's no reason why the water rescue dog couldn't be a girl, right?
But he's not.
But he's not. They're all boys, so it's the cop one, the fire one, the construction one, the garbage truck one, all the cool trucks, and then the girl one.
Yeah.
Anyway, and it's all bad puns and car noises. And that's the whole show.
See, what you got to do is just get her into one of the better seasons of Power Rangers, like RPM or In Space or something.
Yeah, I'm not against it. That would be good. I'd go back to Peppa or Bluey. I go back to Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. That one was driving me insane. But man, I've never. This is my first experience with a kid show where I'm like, kill me now. All my other experiences with kids shows has been like, oh, okay, this is for children, but I see what they're doing. It's thoughtfully designed, right?
Right.
No, this is just
okay.
Vroom!
Yeah, that's rough.
It's tough.
Well,
it's
hey,
tough.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm wearing nothing green, and my daughter went to school today in a purple sequin dress and pink sparkle cowgirl boots and pink leggings. And so we dressed in sparkles instead of anything green. But happy St. Patrick's Day.
That is the kind of behavior that is going to send snakes back to Ireland.
Yeah, that's true. That's going to get those snakes right back to Ireland. Um, Here's a thing that I learned like this week that I just want to know more. It makes me want to know a little more about some of the ancient saints, but specifically Saint Nicholas.
Okay.
Because I learned like this week, because I've been binging Data Over Dogma, and I learned that Saint Nicholas apparently like punched a dude at the Council of Nicaea.
So yeah, the story is, and one problem with the story is we only have it from later sources that are late enough that it's not
I don't care if
definitely
it really
true.
happened, Dapper. I
Okay.
care if there's a story about a saint punching a guy out at a theology conference.
Yes. So the story is that after Arius was invited to state his position, Bishop Nicholas of Myra, who had been invited, walked up, and it's not obvious whether it was a closed or an open hand, but struck him across the face. And then he was seized by the guards because, you know, this is supposed to be like a trial, not an execution. So like, you know, Arius was presumed innocent at this point, basically. And so he was seized by the guards, stripped naked, and then thrown in a cell. And then the next day, according to the legend, he was found with his bishop's vestments on and released, having miraculously reacquired his clothes, apparently.
Ooh.
Now, how much of that story you choose to see as historical, that's up to you. It seems likely that Bishop Nicholas of Myra was there at the council. You're also very, very confusing me with your framing now. I now have to
I'm sorry.
readjust.
Listen, I'm trying to. My USB keyboard isn't working, and I just need to unplug it and plug it back in.
Ah.
But I was trying to be sneaky about it,
You
and
failed.
I did that really poorly.
Yeah, you rolled a 1 on that stealth check. So yes, that is the story, and according to the story, after he was found with his bishop's vestments on, he was readmitted to the conference by the emperor himself, I believe is the whole story there. We have a few super chats. Naramda puts for $5 says, by the magic of empty sets, all toddlers the Dapper has are into Paw Patrol. That's true. Let's see.
Okay.
Lieutenant Math Navigator for $5 says, yes, the prestigious occupation of girl. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. It's actually a pretty big problem with a lot of kid shows. You'll have 3 to 5 male characters and 1 to 2 female characters. And it's like, that's odd. That's not how populations normally work. Lieutenant Math the Navigator said, for $5, space is famously the only place not corrupted by capitalism. That's true. It is famously the only place not corrupted by capitalism. Vishanti, who's been a member for 55 months and is at the Tetrapod level, says, Chagyom Patrick Hatsadik Sameach, which is a blessed feast of the day of Patrick, I think it's like the holy or the blessed. Thank you. Yes. Basically turning, you know how sometimes people say things like, oh, Hanukkah, that's like Jewish Christmas. Basically, she's just turning St. Patrick Day into a Jewish festival naming convention thing as a reverse of that whole idea. Let's see. Grievous, who's been a member for 16 months, says, that's rough, with a Mothra emoji, so we will take our first drink.
Cheers. Wait, I can't run the carbon emoji.
I don't have a carbon emoji, but Roshina says, so that's why St. Nicholas is a saint? He punched a guy and got magic clothes powers? No, that's actually something that's generally incidental. He's probably more famous for, according to the, hagiographies and whatnot, he was actually from a very wealthy family. And when he became a bishop, he did a lot of, giving away of his inheritance, right? And the most famous story is that there was a cobbler who had 3 daughters, and the cobbler was very, very poor, and so he did not have dowry money. And so what was likely to happen is that he would just sell his daughters off to a brothel when they became of age, because there wasn't a whole lot of other options for him. So Nicholas, apparently, according to the story, got wind of this situation, and so the night before each daughter came of age, he dropped a bag of gold through the cobbler's window, which would then land in one of the shoes or boots that he was working on. And that is why in some countries on St. Nicholas Day, children put out boots at the foot of their feet or their bed. And then, of course, their parents will come and fill them with things like small amounts of money or candy or things. And so, yes, the story is he did that 3 times, which is also why in statues or paintings, he's often depicted holding 3 golden orbs. Those represent the 3 bags of gold that he dropped into the cobbler's window.
At our church, St. Nicholas, the bishop, visits the kids every year at church. And if they leave their shoes in the hallway between services, they get like an orange and a chocolate coin.
Nice. Science side up. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I said science side up, who's been a member for 47 months at the MDO level, says drink with a Mothra and a Godzilla, so we'll take a drink. Thank you very much.
Do you not have an emoji of your dog on here?
Yeah, there's a Carmen in there.
But I looked for her. There she is.
There you go.
Okay, there she is.
Right,
because in my brain, there was one time I saw the emotes, and I thought, what is happening? No, I thought that your pupper was a big Japanese monster.
No, she's not. She's very, very small.
Yeah, and I also just tried to send it, and I sent a blank chat in chat, so I am clearly dead.
You are having a rough time today.
I'm having a rough time, you guys.
All right, well, we'll go over the goal, the thing I have pinned, and
Okay.
one extra incentive, and we'll get on with this. All right, so first of all, we do have a super chat goal. If we get 30 of the teal or higher super chats by the end of the stream, we will, first of all, I'll be much more lenient about the F-bomb. In that I will not enforce anything. I won't even try. Also, I will read a little bit of English as she is spoke, which is, always hilarious. Also, if we get to 50% on the counter here, I will give away a Steam key for Warhammer 40,000 Inquisitor Prophecy, which is an action RPG. So if you like things like Path of Exiles or Diablo, that kind of game, it is in that genre. Although it is obviously set in the Warhammer universe, because apparently numerous people, upon acquiring Warhammer Steam keys that they don't need, send them to me, and then I give them out. And so remember, in order to get this, you do not have to have super chatted. You don't have to be a member. You don't have to be a patron. You just have to be fast. Once we hit the trigger for me to drop it, I just drop the Steam key in the chat, and if you get it fast enough and redeem it, you get the game. The only thing I require of you is that you let me know that it worked. Pat O'Logic for 25 Polish Lodi says, Maddie, WTF is going on with the weather? That's not what I ordered. Insert Mothra. We'll take a drink for that. Thank you very much. What is up with that weather? Why is it going to hit like 39 degrees here?
That's communism units.
Drink for Mothra, though.
Okay, I did drink for Mothra. Wait, I have to drink for that Mothra.
Maddie.
Do you mean 39 communism or 39 freedom?
Communism.
That's hot.
Yes, I know.
Woof.
Yeah.
All right, give me a second. I'll figure it out.
Okay. While we're figuring that out, I will continue. So we do have a drinking game. You guys have already seen it. If we get Mothra or Godzilla by Audibly, or anyone includes them, any of the super chats or membership chats, or Ghidorah, because we got him too, we'll take a drink. We'll also take a drink if Ramat, who we're after, says something so stupid we just kind of have to, which it's Ramat, so that's going to happen kind of a lot. This is the guy who thought the Bible was at least partially written in a language he calls pre-Yiddish.
Pre-Yiddish. I'm so glad I was here when we discovered pre-Yiddish.
Yeah, pre-Yiddish was mind-blowing, to be honest. Let's take a drink if he tells a joke that doesn't land, or he tells a story that we're pretty sure didn't happen, or if he actually gets something factually correct that he's not just quoting from something else. We'll also take a drink if he cites a source and we check the source, and not only does the source not support him, but it actively contradicts him. We call that a Trojan source. We'll also take a drink if he mixes up what we can know about Lucy, that's AL288-1. And if he confuses what we can know from just that specimen with what we can know about any wider taxon to what she belongs on the basis of like other finds, like Littlefoot or Miss Ples, which are other Australopithecus specimens. We'll also take a drink if either Maddie or I can predict what he's going to say next when it's not very clear. We'll also take a drink if anyone sends memberships. So if you gift memberships, we'll take a drink for each membership up until the point where we have about 30, in which case I just finished this Mai Tai, which is what I'm drinking. And then we move on. We'll also take a drink if anyone in super chats or membership chat says anything to the effect that Answers in Genesis are a bag of dicks. Now, you do have to be a little bit clever, because if you just type in Answers in Genesis as a bag of dicks, YouTube will censor it. Also, you get bonus points with Maddie if it's alliterated when you do it.
Yeah.
The only thing I think I'm missing is if I make a mistake with production. So, for instance, if I accidentally mute Maddie, or if I forget to turn off like the intro video in this scene or something like that, we take a drink. Now, if it's like outside of my control, like if my computer catches on fire or YouTube HQ like blows up or a bit flip causes my computer to start everything going in Chinese or something, I don't know. I don't think a bit flip could do it, but who cares? If anything like that happens, it's not my fault. We don't take a drink for it. I mean, you can take a drink whenever you want, because obviously, if you're going to play along, first of all, you don't have to play along with anything intoxicating. Feel free to play along with water, juice, coffee, tea, soda, I don't care, a vape pen, whatever you want. But if you do play along, please pace yourself, know your limits. Don't play and then go out and drive a car, operate heavy machinery, fly an aircraft, or text your ex. All bad ideas. Here, Dapper Dino, the channel, me personally, and Maddie, we take neither responsibility nor liability for your bad choices. This is a play at your own risk kind of game. Also, don't take shots for each of these drinks. I'm taking a gulp of Mai Tai, not a shot. So, yeah.
I'm taking a sip of this fizzy gin lemonade I have concocted.
I think technically that counts as a gin sour.
Probably.
Yeah. All right.
I dropped a link in chat for my favorite way to look at weather over North America.
Oh, nice.
And I dropped it to you over Discord too, Dapper. So if you want me
cool.
to explain what's going on, those are the visuals I need.
So the one last thing I think is Roshina Keller, who's been a big part of the community here, as well as in other places that are sort of debunking and science type places, has been in a rough patch. And so there is a link to a fundraiser for her if you want to toss a few bucks. If you want the whole story, it is there. Long story short, she had some pretty serious medical problems, had a medical leave, and then when she got back, her job decided that the problems were incompatible with her continuing with them. And so they fired her. And so, yeah, she's looking to have enough money for continued treatment and rent. Thanks, America. I'm going to hit play.
America. Oh my God, you're the best.
Oh, right. What we were talking about is Raw Matt still thinks that mega sequences are the result of the flood. And for some reason, he thinks that this this diagram is helping him in some way. I will say it is a little cute that they use some like basic 3D assets to make like a beach and some water. And, it's
cute.
Nice. Yeah, it's cute.
Not random ecosystems buried over eons of time. Even museums today acknowledge that dinosaur graveyards, marine life, trees, and more were all buried quickly by a catastrophic water event.
No, Matt. They quote-unquote admit that many of them, not all of them, many of them were buried by catastrophic events. Because the thing is, yes,
the
catastrophic events.
Is important.
Yes, catastrophic events are known to happen. What's not known to have happened is a single catastrophic event that explains the entire geological column, because that's literally impossible. That would violate most laws of physics.
Yeah, so very specifically, all of the evidence we have and how these rocks formed, right? If we're looking at the geologic column, what we have evidence for is that different rocks formed in different ways. Right? If everything had been laid down by a flood, it would look different than the way the rocks look.
Yep. And it's not like we can't recognize flood deposits, because we really, really can.
Yeah. And so, So, by the way, Ramat, if you ever see this slide, lovely. However, you have lots of little quotes, and they're not attributed to anything, so this is actually useless.
Yeah.
This doesn't mean anything. I have no idea what museum this is referencing. Are these like, you know what I mean? Like, so this isn't a good reference. I see that you're quoting things, which is great. We love to cite, we love to like reference the experts. But if you don't tell me where it's from, right, then it means nothing. You could have just made it up. And I don't know. I'm not accusing you of making it up. I'm saying I have no way of checking.
Also, I see that you have left a highlight mark from like a highlight pen tool on your slide.
Mhm.
Those are things that you might want to clean up before you put the slide into a production that you're making. Just saying. You know, it's a little like professionalism. I'll always say this video has over 1 million views. So like, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe I'm the stupid one.
Maybe.
The fossil layers are 100% evidence of Noah's flood.
No, Matt. You think that they're compatible with Noah's flood. You're wrong about that. But even if you weren't wrong about that, they still wouldn't actually be evidence because they're also compatible with science. So that would mean that it's not determinative if you're right, that they're even compatible with Noah's flood. It turns out that they're not, and they are compatible with evolution, which means that if it's a fight between young Earth creationism and like science broadly, science is currently winning on the evidence because it's not compatible. Because we have things like low energy deposition. We have different depositional environments like lacustrine, fluvial, aeolian. We have subaerial ash. We have all sorts of things like this that are not flood deposits. And so until you can explain every single one of them, complete with how the physics works, and possibly even sedimentation experiments to show how you could get these things in a violent churning up flood that, as you say, is quote blenderizing, end quote, dinosaurs. Until you can show how all that's compatible, the answer is just no. The fossil record and the geological column is just completely incompatible with a single worldwide flood. But it is compatible with various floods happening at local areas, sometimes large local areas, but still local, and at different times. Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $5 says, you gotta believe what the museums tell you, or they'll send you to museum, they'll send the museum Hashashin after you. Yeah. I wish I could remember that
What is
guy's name.
Hashashin?
Oh, that's basically where the word assassin comes from.
Oh, okay.
The idea was that the original assassins were from like
museums.
Well, I mean, historically, these were like groups of people who were going around doing targeted killings during like the Crusades period, and they get hopped up on hashish beforehand to, you know, make sure everything was nice and calm and even, and then go kill someone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where we get the word assassin.
Okay. Well, that sounds fun.
Yes, and there's a creationist who claims to be a dentist. I think he died. He claimed to be a dentist. I'm not sure. But he went around to museums looking at their hominin skulls and decided that all of them had the jaws, the lower jaws, set further forward than was appropriate to give them an underbite look, which is weird because an underbite is not actually a characteristic of any hominin that I'm aware of. So it wouldn't actually matter. But he then claimed that he was chased around Europe by museum assassins who were trying to kill him for having exposed the terrible conspiracy of putting the jaws too far forward.
Man, how do I get a job as a museum assassin?
Well, first you have to start out as a Vatican assassin and get tiger blood.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, but I'm not Catholic.
Well, I don't know if you have to be a Vatican assassin.
Oh.
Because it's like a job, right? Like.
Yeah. Do they have better healthcare than anywhere in the States?
Yeah, there's a whole hospital on the Vatican grounds that is just there for people to use in the Vatican.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, is it the best hospital in the history of ever? No, probably not. But is it better than not being able to afford an ambulance so you die at home because you're not sure if you could cover the trip to the hospital? Yeah, it's better than that.
Yeah, that sounds better.
Yeah. But it's a low bar.
It's a low bar.
Yeah.
Hey, fam, it's a low bar.
Yeah.
We're doing great.
Mm-hmm. Everything is okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Normal.
Mm-hmm. Nothing is abnormal on this St. Patrick's Day. And then
Nope.
Garth Noble just sent 5 Dapper Dinosaur memberships.
Oh, thank God.
Yes, I was getting thirsty.
Yeah.
I'm also not confident that I incremented the drink counter enough times, but I did drink enough times. So thank you very much, Garth Noble. All right, here we go. Okay, here's something. Maddie, there are little white flecks on your background, and they seem to move independently of the rest of your background, and it's driving me a little crazy, and I think it's just your camera compression nonsense, but also it drives me a little crazy, and I don't know what's going on.
I'm so sorry. Is it this?
Yeah, what is that?
That is an actual, I ripped the paint off on accident.
Weird. It's like it's floating, and I don't know why.
Well, okay, I think that's probably just because it's black paint, and then that's where the paint came off.
Oh, it's very strange.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's not your fault. It's just every once in a while I catch it out of the side of my eye and I'm like, the motion doesn't make any sense.
There we go.
Lake Titicaca
Yeah.
rests at 12,500 feet.
And caca.
Okay, that's what we need in this stream.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, MC Toon's favorite lake. Which, by the way, in case you haven't found out today, I got sent the raw footage of this, and it was hilarious. And then I watched most of the stream. But you know who Dave Weiss is? Flat Earth Dave?
I don't, but continue. Flat Earth Dave tells me a lot. I think that's all I need to know.
Flat Earth Dave. He is the one who runs the he runs a Flat Earth app that will just send all your information, including your crypto wallet numbers, to anyone who has just a URL that is just so it's so not encrypted that there's just a URL you can put. I've done it in a browser, and it will just take you to the back end of his app, including users' passwords, which are stored in plain text on the website. Yeah. And so while you shouldn't do this, many people do in fact use the same password for many things. And if you're one of those people and you have Flat Earth Dave's app, you can just get it. Anyway, it's a Rubik's or Emily tricked him onto a fake podcast in which MC Toon and FTFE, Craig McNeil, were using voice changers, bad AI voice changers, by the way, extremely obvious bad AI voice changers, to disguise their voices, and tricked him into saying some extremely dumb stuff. Like, did you know that space is a Tor 17 vacuum? And don't think about that too much.
Yeah, that's hurting my head.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that feeling.
What you should do after this stream, if you aren't going to be watching Star Trek with us afterwards, is you should go watch the stream on Craig's channel, because it's amazing. And I want to say thank you very much to both Emily and Craig for sending me the raw footage, because they both independently sent me the Dropbox link for the raw footage so that I could enjoy it.
Amazing.
Dingo Pie for €2 says, AIG is an excavation of vertebrae, a dig of backs. There we go.
Thank you.
Like it. All right. Thank you very much. Here we go. I say here we go a whole bunch, and then it's just literally just me changing activity slightly, like putting my drink down.
Above sea level today, and its fresh water have ocean aquatic life, such as seahorses alive in it today, which are
okay.
So
like, I don't know if he knows this, right? But like, the whole area is doing this thing called uplift, which means that earlier in time, the elevation was lower.
Okay, great. Quick question.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Where is Lake Titicaca in the world?
It's in South America. It's over by the Andes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And yeah, it does have some weird freshwater versions of some saltwater creatures. But again, elevation is a thing that can change over time, even of a lake.
Yeah. And uplift happens slowly. I'm not sure you were aware, at about the rate hair grows. Slow, maybe even slower than that.
Also, if the claim is the flood washed all these sea creatures into the lake, what makes Lake Titicaca special? Why aren't there seahorses and other such things in all of the lakes?
Yeah. And so, like, if his claim is there's these, like, saltwater creatures. So my question, here's my question. So do we think his claim is that therefore saltwater creatures can live in freshwater environments?
No, I think
Right?
his claim is that they were washed there by the flood and then adapted to the fresh water over time.
Okay, ocean creatures up high, therefore flood.
Right.
That's his claim.
And they got washed there by the floodwaters that were used to
And
be
they got washed
above
there by
the
the only way they can
peaks of
possibly got in
Andes.
this lake
Right.
was that the oceans rose up.
Right.
Not that the lake rose up. Cool.
Right. And of course,
Cool.
it also again raises the question, well, then why isn't there a similar situation in all of the lakes? Because
Mhm.
all of them would have been covered by the floodwaters, the global floodwaters that would have presumably been carrying all of these ocean creatures everywhere. Also, it's not
Yeah.
clear how seahorses would survive a flood anyway, because here's the thing about seahorses.
They're
You know-
small and delicate?
Well, it's not even that, right, really. It's that they have to eat. And the way they eat is they curl their tail around something that's anchored to the substrate, or even just a rock, right? Because they actually have prehensile tails. And then they are usually very well camouflaged, and they wait for small prey to come by, which they then suck into their mouths. But
Okay.
if the entire ocean is just a muddy, nonsense, murky, all sorts of nonsense, just sediment falling, everything getting churned up, dinosaurs getting, again, I want to remind you, blenderized.
Mhm.
How is a seahorse going to find a little stalk of seaweed to curl its tail around and wait peacefully for a little fishy to swim by so it can eat it? How's that going to happen?
Oh.
For over a year. What's it going to eat?
Yeah. Well, and then, like, okay, so our theory, right? Our theory, listen, guys, I teach science to performing arts majors, right? I spend a lot of time taking, like, you said something absolutely insane, but I don't want you to feel bad about yourself. So let's break it down. Our theory here is that ocean water rose and deposited these creatures into this lake, and the sort of counter hypothesis, right, is that the ocean or the lake itself rose up slowly over time. So what do we think we might expect to find, right? What evidence could we maybe look for that would lead us, that would support one over the other? And my first thought would be to look for, like, basically like some sort of like salt deposit, you know, if we're thinking about like Himalayan pink salt, right?
Yeah. Interestingly, it's not in Peru like Lake Titicaca, but not too far away in Bolivia. There are in fact salt flats.
Hey,
High elevation salt deposits. What do you know?
what do you know?
Weird.
Guys, don't you all want to take my science for performing arts majors class? These are the chats we have.
Dutch Tunicate Official says freshwater sponges would break his mind. They absolutely would. And of course, Rendo from chat points out seahorses were kept safely in sea stables. I didn't think of the sea stables, Maddie. How foolish.
That's true.
of
The
me.
sea stables next to the storehouses of snow, right?
Yes.
Up in heaven.
Obviously. Also, Lake Titicaca is where you can find some frogs that actually, if I remember correctly, now double check me on this because I might be misremembering, but if I remember correctly, there are some frogs in the area that have direct development. They hatch as little froglets that are not tadpoles, complete with no gills and 4 legs.
Are they still considered amphibious?
I mean, they're still list amphibians and they still breed in water.
Okay. For some reason in my brain, I thought like being a tadpole was a requirement of being an amphibian.
No, it's just a common thing that happens.
Okay.
They're only ever found in the ocean. So, this is more physical evidence, yet again, of remnants from the worldwide flood.
I mean, yeah, until you think about it for more than 20 seconds.
No, sweetie.
No, it's not. No. Yeah. The problem is that your proposed mechanism doesn't have a way to differentiate between Lake Titicaca and the other lakes, so no.
We can test the age of a lake another way, using observable rates other than the assumption of slow continental uplift, by what we call residence time. That is, the
Oh no. Oh no. I know where this
I'm
is
so
going.
worried.
This is going to be
Also,
dissolved minerals in the water.
I would like everyone to know that uplift is in fact a thing we can measure in real time.
It
Uh,
is.
thanks to GPS. Yay! We can get it down to like millimeters.
Yeah, even before GPS, we could still measure it, but with less precision.
Yeah, like the biggest advance in like geology in the last 50 years is GPS because it lets us measure these like rates of change that are in the like millimeters a year.
It has also meant that the government of Australia has had to start updating the official locations on like latitude, longitude of various like cities and locations, because it turns out the Australian plate is moving faster than most plates, and so they have to actually update their coordinates like about every decade or so.
Wow, that's fast.
Yeah. I mean, they're not updating them by like, multiple whole degrees most of the time. It's like, okay, we moved like, 15 arc seconds. Okay.
Yeah. And also, let me be clear, before Younger Creationist pops in and is like, well, even if you measured whatever rate over the last 10 years, you can't just extrapolate that back into geologic time. Okay, sure, right? I don't think anybody's claiming that it's moving at exactly this rate, right? But it does give you kind of a reasonable number, right?
Yeah.
And
Ballpark.
yeah, a ballpark number, like an order of magnitude. And if you want it to go in orders of magnitude faster or slower, right? You need to be able to propose a mechanism to cause that,
Yeah.
right? And so so normally, right? Think about things like on faults, right? They move really slowly, but every once in a while you have like something gives and they jump, right? And that's significantly larger change than the sort of normal behavior. That's the first thing that popped off the top of my head. Sorry, team. I'm sure an actual geologist could come up with a better example. But like if we're gonna say, hey, we have this known process that acts at, greater than 1, less than 10 millimeters a year, and that kind of gets us like that fits with other geologic data we have, right, from say like paleomagnetism of where things were back in time, right? There's other tools you can use to figure out where rocks were relative to each other further back in the past, right, that we can directly measure today. If like these puzzle pieces all mostly fit, right? If you're gonna, and again, I'm not saying that there isn't like interesting science to be done along the edges of how do these pieces exactly fit. But if you're saying that these two puzzle pieces don't fit, right, you've got to propose a mechanism. You've got to explain why. And it can't be that, like, well, these two puzzle pieces don't fit because we haven't figured out the edge case, right? It has to be, no, I think something fundamentally different is happening. Anyway.
Yes.
That's my little rant.
The time it takes for water to be flushed from the lake and replaced by new water. It's also called lake retention time.
Okay.
It is the measurement of the age of the water within the lake. For example,
I mean, I guess it's a measurement of how long a bit of water will likely stay in the lake. I don't know what it would mean for it to be the age of the water. Like, you mean like from when it entered the lake? I guess okay. But like from when those atoms merge together to make a water molecule? No, that's almost certainly much older than that. It's a weird.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking of like this might be a question of let's say you have a lake that's fed by snow runoff, right, and eventually drains through a river, right?
Yeah.
Suppose that exists. You could be like, well, the water that's in the lake today snowed on top of the mountain 200 years ago, right?
It would also
Something
help
like
you with
that.
things like how long it would take for a lake to clear like pollutants naturally or something.
Yeah, and so that type of measurement kind of that sounds like what he's talking about, and that's a thing that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Of like how long is this kind of recycle time, right? What's the time frame for the water cycle in this region?
Roshan says, "What about Lake Chad?" Which translates to Lake. Well, first of all, Lake Chad is way better than Lake Virgin, so that's where I'll leave it.
This figure is the result of dividing the lake volume by the flow in and out of the lake. It expresses the amount of time taken for a substance introduced into a lake flow and out of it again.
Hey,
Cool.
that's exactly what I was talking about with like a contaminant or pollutant. I'm going to take a drink for confirmed prediction on that one.
Nice.
Hooray for me. I'm not sure how you would use this to date a lake because...
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this case, salt. And for Lake Titicaca, the residence time is around 1,343 years.
Okay.
Not even close.
That's pronounced residence, not residence.
Yeah, but I don't really care that much.
Okay.
He's met my minimum standard for like scientific names for animals, which is give every single letter a reasonable approximation of like a sound it would make, and don't skip any of them. He's done that.
I hear you say that, Dapper, and I'm concerned that I, upon meeting a new word, would not always meet your criteria. It's just a concern I have. I'm just undiagnosed dyslexic enough that if the word is long, I kind of don't see the letters in the middle. Certainly not in any order.
Well, that is why I would suggest that you look up the pronunciation before you go and publicly pronounce the word.
It's fair. Yeah, I would try to do that. Okay, so sorry. What's his point? Is that all of the salt would have drained out in 1,300 years and there's still salt there? Is that his claim?
I'm not sure. It doesn't seem to make sense to me yet.
Okay.
To millions
Cool.
of years that they assume and tell the public. The fact is,
Okay.
Lake Titicaca was raised from sea level during Noah's flood and was flooded with the ocean water during...
Okay, so you do think it was uplifted. Okay,
Yeah.
well, that at least explains why your method doesn't seem to affect other lakes. But okay, I'm still not sure what we're supposed to be doing with the residence time of salt.
Yeah.
that time. The surrounding land attests to this, but more on that next. Evidence from this is that Lake Titicaca drains to the south along Altipolano tableland, spreading out over the Desaguadero and towards Lake Upo, and from there into large salt flats.
Hey, we just mentioned the salt flats.
Flats.
I'll take a drink for
That's
that.
cool looking. I'm gonna take a drink because that looks cool, and we talked about him.
We sure did. I still don't know what the argument is, though, Matt.
Proving that Lake Titicaca was once ocean water.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you necessarily there. I think that seems plausible. I'm not like a Lake Titicacaologist or anything, but like that seems perfectly plausible.
As these salt flats are the basin from which Lake Titicaca flows. If what I'm saying is true.
Wait, no, you said they flowed to it, not from it.
Into it. Yeah, not out of it.
So that's a different thing, Matt. Dutch
Yeah.
Tunicate official for $2 says, does he not know that salt can enter the lake? See, I don't know if he does know that. I also don't know if his point is going to be that the lake is insufficiently salty. I just don't know what argument he's trying to make here.
So the issue, here, because there's 2 points he could be making, right? One is that, and the lake is still salty, right? Therefore, it couldn't have been millions of years ago, right? Or he could be making the point, and the lake is not salty, but I don't know how that doesn't work. But anyway, if his claim is that, but the lake is still salty, the residence time is 1,300 years. That's also a problem, right? By his logic, then whether this lake uplifted 4,000 years ago or 10 million years ago, both of those are greater than 1,300.
Yeah. I'm gonna hit play, and maybe he'll actually try to make an argument. Maybe this is still just the setup for the argument.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll get there. I mean, it's raw Matt, so I doubt it. But like, I gotta give him a chance.
Yeah.
Right.
That the floodwaters pushed ocean water into Lake Titicaca, then its drainage of salt.
No, hold on. I have to back up. I feel like I've missed the entire point there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And towards Lake Upo, and from there into large salt flats, proving that Lake Titicaca was once ocean water, as these salt flats are the basin from which Lake Titicaca flows. If what
but okay, sure.
I'm saying is true, that the floodwaters pushed ocean water into Lake Titicaca,
which isn't what you said, but okay,
then its drainage of salt would be quite noticeable in the downstream of the current lake's outflow.
Yeah, it drains to a salt flat, Matt. That is the noticeable
Drains to a salt flat. You just showed the salt flat.
What?
What's the problem?
Pixie Purple, who's been a member for 25 months, says Titicaca snicker. Sorry, with a Ghidorah and a Godzilla. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Look, it's a great name for a lake.
Which it is. It's all along the Altiplano to the south, where it is accumulated along the slightly sloping tableland, which drops 400 feet from Lake Titicaca.
Also, I like the Altiplano because it sounds really cool and fancy, and it's literally just like high flat thing. Like that's it. It's just Spanish for like the high plain. Oh, okay.
I have to say that visual though looks like it's a like fantasy landscape.
Oh yeah, the salt flats are amazing. I would love to go sometime.
Although Altiplano and around Lake Pupo lies the Salar de Uyuni, where even more salt is found.
Okay.
The last 4,300 years since the flood, the lake has been draining and losing salt and exchanging it for fresh water from...
No, you don't know that it's been losing salt, Matt. There's this thing called equilibrium, where salt can enter as it's dissolved from like sediments and things elsewhere up in the mountains and whatnot, and then it enters the lake, and then some of it leaves the lake downstream, right? That's why like you've got the Sea of Galilee, right? That's a freshwater body, but it drains into the Dead Sea, which is hypersaline. And where does the salt come from? Well, it comes from the freshwater Sea of Galilee, but because it just evaporates in the Dead Sea, there's no way for the salt to get out of there, but it does get out of the Sea of Galilee. But the Dead Sea keeps getting saltier and saltier because more salt washes in from the Sea of Galilee. I'm using Bible references because I feel like Matt might appreciate Bible stuff, right? Okay?
Yeah.
So how does the Sea of Galilee get salt? Well, it gets it from the various things that feed it because there's salt in the ground. Not a lot of salt, but it's there. And if it accumulates someplace because the water just evaporates, well, then you're going to get salty and saltier stuff there. But the salt still goes into the lake. In fact, in other places, creationists will talk about how, oh, the oceans aren't salty enough because this much salt washes into the ocean, but there's only this much salt in the ocean right now. And if that much washes in per year, where do you think that salt is washing in from? It's from the salt in the fresh water, which again, there's not much of comparatively, but it's not zero. And where did the fresh water get the salt? From the land. I'm taking a drink. This is not that hard to figure out.
Yeah, I'm also really struggling with what his point is.
It's basically like saying, hey, if you have a bathtub and you lift that drain a little bit, then no matter how high you turn on the faucet, you're never going to let the water level go up. That's impossible. But it's not impossible, right?
Right.
You could have a steady amount of water or a rising or a lowering. It matters what the inflow versus the outflow is. And if you just concentrate on outflow, you're literally missing half of the story. And you can't do that.
But Deborah, he hasn't said...
Okay.
As of this point, he has not said the phrase, Lake Titicaca is too salty. Right?
Okay.
Rain and new rivers.
He hasn't said that.
Leaving the lake today, mostly fresh water.
Right.
Salt content is nearly all gone, but yet some still remains, proving that the lake is young.
No, Matt.
No, okay.
Matt.
That's his point. His point is that there's too much salt for it to have gotten out, for it to have been millions of years.
Plus,
right?
He gave us...
By his own numbers, that doesn't work. By his numbers and his understanding, right? The lake should have emptied out of salt 4 times over since the flood.
Which means there has to, under anybody's model, there has to be an inflow of salt into the lake, Matt. There has to be.
Yeah.
For the lake to have formed after the flood, there still needs to be salt coming in. I'm taking another drink. I can't with this man. How does he not notice this?
Yeah. Gosh.
To be fair, though, I've never heard of any other creationists using the salinity of Lake Titicaca as an argument for a young Lake Titicaca. So it's at least a newish argument for creationists, which, you know what, they don't have a lot of. So
that's true.
Credit for original. Actually, I was going to say credit for original thinking, but I really think he got this from some other creationist.
Also, Borg Emporium in the chat says to me, a yak needs a point. I mean, I'd prefer them to have a point.
Yeah, They often don't
I
have
prefer
them.
it
but-
doesn't even have to be a good point. I would just like them to make a point.
Yeah.
Right? Like make a claim, make a point.
Did you notice how that whole point was just... It seems like at one point Lake Titicaca was salt water, which, sure.
Sure.
It's not now.
Yeah.
And it would take less time to go from salt to fresh water than the scientists say is how long it's been around. Like, that's his whole point. So the entire
that's his
thing
whole
about, like, oh, the salt flats and where it empties and where it flows, all of that was just, like, the student who's, like, adding extra adjectives onto their essay to meet the word count.
Yeah. So those things are evidence that salt has drained out, but they don't actually support his claim
Right.
that there is too much salt than we would expect if standard geologic time models hold.
Yeah.
Right?
Because
Ignoring
no
the
one is
fact
claiming
that-
that the salt is not flowing out of the lake. No one is making that claim.
Correct.
So you don't have to support it. Everyone's on board.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have like we're down. Get it.
Also,
Salt flows out of the lake.
I have
Cool.
to point out on screen is a Epstein file alumnus. Just gotta put that out there.
Ugh.
Yeah.
And not millions of years old. It's impossible. We creationists know that it was filled with seawater during the time of the flood.
Okay, so hold on. It actually was the seawater flowing up to Lake Titicaca. So once again, Matt, we are back to the problem where your explanation doesn't actually match what we see in other lakes that also should have had the floodwaters wash into them. So
Yeah.
you've got that problem there. Because remember, Matt's support for the ocean water hypothesis was that Lake Titicaca has a strangely marine ecosystem in terms of like which organisms are there. Not in terms of the salinity of the water, but just in terms of the biodiversity. Which, okay, cool. But if your argument is that it got that way because of the floodwaters rushing in, then why isn't that true of, say, the Great Lakes, or Lake Chad, or Lake Victoria, or, I don't know, Lake Baikal? Why is it not the case? Also, Lake Baikal,
Yeah.
only freshwater seals.
Ooh. Lake Managua, only freshwater sharks.
Nice. You should send me a link on that.
And pushed into its current position during the formation of the Andes because of two tests. One is of its drainage basins, which prove it was once completely saltwater.
It actually doesn't prove that. Because, well, I will grant you that it probably was. If you have enough fresh water flowing into an endohyric basin, which is a basin that just evaporates water, doesn't lead to any other bodies of water like the ocean, salt will collect in that basin no matter what. That's why the Great Salt Lake is salty. It's because a bunch of freshwater things drain into it, and then it just evaporates. It goes into the air.
Two, it has saltwater flora and fauna in and around the lake, with millions of fossil seashells on its shores. As you should know, water always finds the lowest recesses of ground, and
I thought he was going to say water always finds its level. I was having weird flat earth, like flashbacks. Thank you for not doing that, Matt. I appreciate it.
Oh, hey, chat, I'm going to drop you the Wikipedia link for the bull sharks in Lake Managua.
That's pretty cool.
That was cool.
this lake is in a deep pit, which the water settled in after the flood receded. It's the only explanation that fits
He's
the evidence.
contradicted himself.
Mm-hmm.
Because earlier he said that this lake existed and was then uplifted during the flood, right? He said that explicitly earlier, and now he's saying it's filled with salt water during the flood.
So I think what he's trying to go for is that there was a
Yeah.
lake, which then got inundated with salt water, which more or less overwhelmed the fresh water that was there before, and then that thing got lifted up. I think that's what he's going for. That at least is not internally contradictory.
Okay,
And maybe I'm being
I guess
more
it's not
charitable
internally
than I need
contradictory,
to.
but like you don't need that freshwater step. You could have. We had a thing at the surface that was filled with water. We had an inland sea.
Maybe he thinks that the geological evidence of the lake existing for a very long time indicates that there was a lake there before the flood. I don't know. Which also is weird, because one of the problems with a lot of the Andes is that a lot of it is made up of what most creationists would consider to be post-flood sediments anyway. Like, a lot of it is like
Amazing.
like Miocene and Eocene stuff. So like, one of the things though about Matt is that he does not have a clear like idea of where the flood boundary would be in the stratigraphic column. Like for answers in Genesis, they're
Yeah.
like, like the KT boundary, that's where the flood deposits stop, and then the stuff after that is post-flood, which is like that's a whole lot of geology for a few thousand years. But okay, sure, I guess that's an
Okay.
answer. I've
Yeah.
also ICR goes with like a later one where it's like, I think it's something like at the end of like the Miocene is where they think like the flood is. So like a lot of the whale fossils and stuff that you find in South America for ICR, that would be post-flood. I've also heard one creationist argue for a end Triassic flood boundary, which would mean that the Jurassic and the Cretaceous and everything above that is post-flood, which sure is interesting. And the one thing that I love about all of those different positions from young Earth creationists is they all make killer arguments about why the other positions can't be right, and those arguments are usually pretty darn good. They're very compelling. Of course, the thing is, you know what happens when you have
That's amazing.
all sorts of mutually incompatible flood models, all of which have compelling reasons why the other ones are wrong? It means they're all wrong.
All wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, I just realized I'm still wearing this like yarn necklace. Guys, when I left the house this morning to take the toddler to daycare, I got home and realized and then forgot, but I had this yarn necklace on. I had a like Little Mermaid bow in my hair, and I had like a plastic bracelet on.
Nice.
It was so good.
We see. And we also have evidence of a 1,000-year-old temple beneath the waters of the Lake Titicaca. And
Lake levels fluctuate,
Cool.
Matt. I don't know what to tell you.
Uh-huh.
What? I'm just gonna take a drink for like complete non sequitur. It's like there's a temple under there. Like, okay. It's a temple. There's
Lake
temples in lots of
level
places.
and also like boundaries fluctuate.
Yeah. And also, the land isn't all actually rising at the same level every single location at the same rate. So it's possible that even if the lake was about as deep as it is now, that particular location could have been above. Like, there's a lot of explanations for this that don't require magical floods.
Also, like, there's also evidence that we have cultures in this part of the world, I think it's in parts of the Andes, that are as old, if not older, than like ancient Sumeria, right? And so like I guess that's 1,000-year-old temple.
Which is not that old in the grand scheme of things.
It's not that old. I also don't trust his date, but
Yeah, there's that. I'm willing to just accept it because nothing about it seems like a thing that I have to worry about. Like, okay, sure, maybe there's a 1,000-year-old temple under Lake Titicaca towards the edge of it.
Yeah, maybe it's 1,000 years old, maybe it's 6,000 years old, maybe it's 10,000 years old. I don't know.
Maybe it's
But that's,
500
like,
years old. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, there's lots of stuff that's underwater now that didn't used to be, right? Like, Venice is going to be underwater soon.
No, they'll raise it up. We're going to get really,
Yeah,
really
I mean,
big
they'll raise it,
floaties.
but like left to its own devices, Venice would already be underwater.
Yeah.
You know? Like, without modern engineering. If that was an ancient settlement, that would have already been abandoned and be flooded.
international group of archaeologists say that there is evidence of a temple 200 meters long and 50 meters wide, along with signs of a paved road. What other
Cool.
event
Okay.
deposits ocean water and aquatic life at 12,500 feet above sea level?
None, because that isn't necessary.
Because his assumption is that this temple was above
Taking a
water
drink.
until this region was filled with seawater from the flood.
So this is a pre-flood temple. This is an antediluvian temple.
How did that happen?
Shouldn't it be 5,000 years old and not like 1,000 years old
1,000?
in that case?
Yeah. Brent,
When did the flood happen, Matt?
when did this happen?
That's so much dumber than I was thinking.
Yeah, because
I'll
if it's
take another
not at
drink.
least 5,000 years old or 4,400 years
Oh
old,
my god.
then it's post-flood. Jesus.
What is wrong with this man?
Just be self-consistent.
Oh my god. All right, look, we just hit the hour mark. We're taking a quick break. I'm gonna go get some ice and another can of
You do that.
of
You do that, good sir.
drink, and we're gonna come back. It's gonna be great. And
Be so good.
my brain is hurting. I don't like it.
I'm sorry, dude. Go get some alcohol.
Okay.
Go get some rum.
Yeah, maybe. All
You
right.
need it.
I really do. All right. We're going to be right back
Okay.
in just a few minutes. In the meantime, first, there's going to be a teaser trailer for the next episode of Star Trek Endurance, a show Maddie is on.
Yeah. Allegedly.
Well, you know. Most frequent or most recent episodes notwithstanding.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be right back.
First Officer's Log, Stardate 60917.3. We were tracking more instances of tetronic filaments connected to an EM radiation burst when our long-range sensors picked up fluctuating energy readings from deep within the Shackleton Expanse. We can't tell what the readings are coming from, but they are consistent with a vessel in distress. All attempts at communication have gone unanswered. There may be some people out there who need our help. We arrive within the hour. This is why we are here.
The distress signal leads to a surprising find. On answering the distress signal, the crew finds themselves in orbit of a gas giant, but with no ships to be seen. On scanners are life signs that are familiar in more ways than one. Still, the distress is real and aid is required, but this aid will not go unnoticed or unopposed. Scientific curiosity may have to take a back seat to self-defense, but this powerful foe is perhaps not as monolithic as once seemed. Can the crew stay safe and learn more about a rising threat in the Shackleton Expanse? Find out next time on Star Trek Endurance, The Needs of the Few, only on the Top Hats Off channel. We are back. Thank you for sticking with us, everybody. All right, so hello. The first thing I want to say is, first of all, yes, thank you very much for sticking with us. And I want to say, you guys probably know this, but some of you might not. This channel is almost entirely supported directly through the contributions of my viewers. Kind of like PBS, especially now that there's no, corporation that's getting any federal money. Things are normal. Everything is normal.
Things are so normal.
Yeah. Hey, remember that time that Mr. Rogers, the actual Mr. Rogers, went in front of Congress to give this wonderful speech about how important public broadcasting is and how it's reaching all sorts of children who otherwise wouldn't get any programming made for them that's educational and, instructive.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Anyway, again, everything is normal.
Everything's normal.
Yeah. So, as you guys know, this channel is basically dependent on you guys. And if you like what I do here, and you are someone who is currently not supporting the channel financially, but you can afford to, and you value what I'm doing here, then we have a few ways for you to support. One is the Patreon. It's linked in the description. One is there's the channel memberships. There's a join button right below. Patreon starts at $1 a month. Memberships start at $1.99. Both of them give you early access to my videos. I just put one up for early access today. Just today. They also give you access to my Discord server, where after this, we're going to be watching some Star Trek Enterprise. Ever heard of it, Maddie?
Yes.
Yeah. In fact, actually, if you want to see Maddie's first time doing a Star Trek role-playing game, you can watch Star Trek Prelude over on Top Hats Off.
Mhm.
So, there you go. It was set in the Enterprise era. We were on the
It was, and I was
NX-03
playing
Challenger.
Denobulan.
Yes, you were a Denobulan.
I was a Denobulan. It was very fun.
Yeah. So, check that out. But also, if a monthly or thing isn't your deal, there's a merch store down below. We have t-shirts, we've got tank tops. Actually, I just got a picture of someone who purchased one of the tank tops just earlier today, and I was very happy about that. So it was a very cool tank top. There we go. Picked a fun pink color because there's just so many colors. I basically was just like, just allow people to buy any of the colors that you have for tank tops. Just all of them. It's fine. Just whatever. You want pink, you want green, you want purple, yellow, black, white, go for it. So yeah, there's the merch store. And also, if you want to help out in a way that is not just directly contributing financially, but that still helps immensely, there is How to Render for Me. So the way that I get my animations done is I upload the animations to a render farm called Sheepit. Sheepit is a free render farm. You don't pay money, but what you do instead is you earn points by rendering for them. So when I don't need something rendered, and my computer is otherwise free, I launch the Sheepit client, and I download other people's projects, and I render them on my GPU for them, and that gets me points. And then how many points I have determines how high priority my projects are. If you would like to give me points, there's a section in the description called How to Render for Me. You go to the website indicated, you download the client that works for your operating system, and use the login information in the description. It has my login name, but also what's called a render key, which will allow you to log in as me on your client, but not on the website. So you can't access my profile. So you can't delete my projects, you can't upload projects, you can't delete my account, anything like that. So there's that. All right, and as a reminder, if we get to 50%, I will be giving away a Steam key for Warhammer 40,000 Inquisitor Prophecy.
Ooh.
Yeah. Templar Warden for $5 New Zealand says, work decided to kick off just as stream started, so I missed the first hour. Oh, I'm sorry. So here's some dinosaur dollars to make up for a lack of view. AIG is we know what's going after that. We'll take a drink for it.
Cheers.
And then Prixie Purple for $2 says, edutainment brought to you by viewers like you. Correct. That is accurate. All right, let me update the number here.
Dapper, do you have a really good tote bag on your merch store?
I don't think so.
You need a really good tote bag for viewers like you.
Because that's what people give away for the PBS sponsorship drives,
Yeah.
is tote bags?
That's what I remember about being annoyed at the drive when I was trying to watch Wishbone.
I do
There was
vaguely
a
remember the
tote
tote
bag,
bags.
but you had to be at least 18 years or older to call. And I was like, but I'm not. And you're telling me to call and I cannot. Because it was very tricky for my undiagnosed autistic child brain.
See, what I would have done is if I wanted the tote bag, I would have had some of my money from my high school job. And then I would have said to one of my parents, probably my mom, because she was more permissive than my dad, like, hey, Mom, can you call PBS and pledge this much money and I will give it to you and then you give me the tote bag?
I like that. I was also about 8 at the time. And so I didn't think that far ahead. And I also didn't have any money.
Yeah, okay. Well, that would just generally be a problem then. So
yeah, because I was a child.
Yeah, I was thinking like high school when I had money.
Yeah, no, man, if I was a teen, I could have figured this out. But by then we had cable. So,
yeah.
And honestly, by then I just watched Star Trek on UPN.
Actually, that high school job was the reason that my dad realized that telling me, hey, if you break that, you'll have to replace it, is not sufficient anymore to get me to stop doing the thing that he didn't want me to do. Because he bought this, he was into like hi-fi audio stuff. Not like super into it, but he was. So he bought this super expensive audio cable that was like gold plated or whatever. And I never noticed a difference in the sound, but he said he could. So sure, I believe him. But I went with him when he went to get it. And so when we're driving back, I have it, and I'm just like, twisting it around a little bit in my hand because it had a fun little texture, and it felt like it had like
Yeah.
different like resistance twisting in different directions. He's
Amazing.
like, that's expensive. I'm like, oh, how much is it? He told me. It's like, okay. He's like, if you break that, you're gonna have to buy it. I'm like, okay. And I just kept playing with it. He's like, I thought I told you to stop playing with it. I said, no. You told me if I broke it, I would have to buy it. So I will do that. That is an acceptable, like,
That's an acceptable
terms.
bargain.
Yeah,
sir.
like I'm fine
I've
with this.
accepted the terms.
Yeah. And he was like, oh.
Oh.
And then he never tried to use that one on me again because he realized there's a fair chance that if I really needed to buy it, I probably could.
Yeah.
Joshua Geese for $5
Right?
says, for tunicates like you, yes, good, patriotic, hardworking, sessile tunicates.
Pelagic.
No.
The toddler today, she really wants to take apart this. Listen, her physical therapist is going on maternity leave soon. So have I purchased my child a small exercise trampoline with a handlebar to continue our PT goals at home? Yes, because I'm anxious. But she really wants to take it apart. Right, and she's gotten a hold of the Allen wrench and keeps kind of just like hammering on the metal with the Allen wrench.
Which
right?
fortunately is not how those work.
That is not how those work. And right now, she wants me to take it apart for her. And I said, like, no, baby, listen. If you can figure out how to take that apart, go nuts. But if you want to take it apart, you got to do it. Yeah, Pixie Purple, I'm absolutely going to let her take it apart. I'm just not going to take it apart for her.
Well, good luck to her.
Yeah, good luck to her.
I'm going to hit... Oh, ready?
No, hit play. Let's go.
Okay, here we go.
You see, only theory evolution has for this.
I'm going to point out,
Not
evolution has no theory about the
Geology.
formation. Yeah, that's a geology thing. I'm just going to take a drink for conflating evolution with literally everything in science.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite tropes in creationism. For $2, Light in the Ignorance says, I've been wondering, what's the tunicate meme? Okay, so tunicates are really cool animals that are, they're chordates, so they're in the same phylum as you and I. And the thing is that what a tunicate does is it starts out life as a little larva that's very similar to a tadpole. It has a little head with a tiny little brain and a tail with little V-shaped muscles, just like a tadpole, right? And they swim around, and then they attach themselves to like a rock or a bit of coral or something like that. And then they dissolve their own brain, and they shapeshift sort of into like a little basket with a little spout at one end. So it's like a cross between like a teapot and a basket. And they sit there and they filter feed. And that's what a tunicate does. But some of them have the audacity to hang around in the water column, cloning themselves and swimming as adults. And it's disgusting and unnatural, and I will not stand for it. And that is the meme. Vandalia 1998 for $2 says, ICE is illegally deporting pelagic tunicates. You know what? I don't support ICE, but if I was going to support anything, it would be that project of theirs.
But Dapper, if they're in the middle of the ocean, aren't they already in international waters?
I mean, some of them have to be in U.S. territorial waters, and they shouldn't be.
No papers.
You know what? I would prefer it if ICE were to just spend all of their time out on the ocean getting rid of the pelagic tunicates.
You know what? I'd actually prefer that too. And I'm a pelagic tunicate softie.
Ugh, disgusting.
Is that the land must have been lifted up from sea level very slowly over millions of years, but their rescuing device for this fails.
Remember, when a creationist says rescuing device, what they mean is reason
Evidence.
I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this supposed continental uplift puts this occurrence before humans supposedly evolved.
Okay. I don't.
Oh no, he thinks that the temple had to have been there when it was at like sea level.
Oh my god. Oh.
That's bad. That's really bad. Oh man. Hey Matt, no, honey.
Drink.
The boundaries of the lake are allowed to shift.
Oh. It's so much dumber. Oh my god. You're right. Oh, Matt, why do you do this? Why?
That's
How-
real dumb.
Jeez.
Woo!
You see, the gradual process of plate tectonics is so
Mhm.
slow for the ground to lift 12,500 feet from sea level, the
Okay.
numbers just don't add up.
I mean, they do, though. They do
They
add
do.
up. You just showed them on screen. It would take a few million
Yeah.
years, which is okay, cool. I'm
Yeah.
fine with that. Like, that doesn't seem like a problem to me. It's
No.
it's like saying to someone like, "Oh, you couldn't have cooked that turkey. It would have taken you 6 hours." And it's like, "Well, I had 12, so seems fine." What's the problem? There just isn't one.
But wait,
I
what
think
about
maybe it's a little bit more like that turkey can't be on the table because 6 hours ago it must have been in the oven. You
Yeah,
know?
it is. It probably is about that dumb. It's
Yeah.
just, with the answer to which is just like, yeah, that's how cooking a turkey works.
Yeah.
Which, by the
Or
way,
like that turkey can't be on the table because the table is not an oven. That's the argument.
I think I have decided that my my Thanksgiving dinner is just gonna be a slow cooked rack of ribs.
Mm.
Yeah.
My dad usually just does steak. He just grills us all steak and it's so good.
See, the thing is, I can get a whole rack of ribs for cheaper per pound by a lot than I can get
Mhm.
steak.
Yeah. That's fair. But I guess I'm not at home. I'm with my in-laws this year, so I don't know what Thanksgiving will be.
Maybe it will be lamb. Very traditional Thanksgiving dinner.
Wait a minute.
What?
That's not true.
That lamb is a traditional Thanksgiving, or not Thanksgiving, I meant to say Easter, sorry, Easter dinner.
Oh, okay. Lamb is a very traditional Easter
Have
dinner.
I been saying
No,
Thanksgiving
we're
the whole
just gonna be
time?
at our house for Easter because
Oh,
it
I've been saying
is-
Thanksgiving this whole. I'm going to take a drink for Dapper's a Professional for mixing up holidays.
you mix up Thanksgiving and Easter.
Look, they're both days where you mark the day by having a meal. So,
Mhm.
in addition to other things for Easter for some people.
Let's see. Easter is I have like 2 out-of-state weddings to get to
Ooh.
in the next 5 weeks, and Easter is the week between them. And so what will I be doing for Easter? I will be taking a nap. Thank you. We will probably go to church. I ordered the toddler's Easter dress though.
If she has an Easter dress, she has to go somewhere with it. You got to go to church.
We gotta go to church. Listen, it involves a sweater with a goose on it
Oh,
and a little yellow dress with like a little goose and a little chickie and a little bunny. And then I got her little silver sequined sneakers that have bunny ears and a pom-pom tail on the back.
Strawberry
So-
Vein for $5 says it's been a long time since my last live stream. It sure has. And the first thing I hear is Dapper cursing pelagic tunicates. Good to know some things never change. Well, first of all, welcome back, Strawberry Vein. It's great to see you. And you're right, some things don't change. Like how horrible pelagic tunicates are.
Listen,
the
I just
seal.
think we should be welcoming of all people and tunicates.
Well, I don't see why you would have to add tunicates. That just seems like special pleading.
But people isn't?
Yeah, because that's a whole conceptual category that, like, I can see why you would have moral, like, franchise available for such things.
Mm-hmm.
But tunicates, I don't get it.
horses?
That's 'cause
How
I'm
can
morally
seahorses
superior to
adapt
you,
so
Dapper.
quickly to such a new environment right after the flood? The answer lies in their genes. They lack
Yes, Yes, Matt. How seahorses adapt to new environments is indeed a matter of their genes, because that's what adaptation is, buddy.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna take a drink. You see, the secret to reading a book is that it's made with letters. Not many people know this.
Well, not according to my toddler. According to my toddler, those are numbers.
Oh, well, fair enough.
She likes to ask me, what number is that? When she means letter.
Mm.
It's,
In fact,
it's
actually,
real great.
even if they were representing numbers, they would be numerals, because the numeral is the graphic, like the little actual glyph. that
Okay.
represents the conceptual category of the number. So 2 is
Okay.
is an abstract concept that doesn't matter what glyph you use to represent it, as long as you're consistent. But the little swoopy thing with the flat bottom that goes down to the right, that's that is a numeral, not a number.
Okay. So next time I'm having a conversation with my toddler
Okay.
about letters and numbers,
Mhm.
I will be sure to give you a call so that she gets an appropriate definition.
Yes. Yeah. She's got to get the linguistics of difference between numerals and numbers and glyphs and letters and all those things.
We need to take bets on this phone call of how long it takes for her to say her absolute amazing catchphrase, which is "Stop your voice."
Lack or lost many of the genes which would have caused them to die otherwise. This is why we don't see a
Okay, what is on here? One of the most obvious clues in the seahorse genome is how it ended up the way it is today is the fact that it's missing the PQ-rich SCPP genes, which in other teleos fish are responsible for the production of enamel to form teeth. Okay. Which, I mean, fair enough, seahorses don't have teeth. Seahorses also
Okay.
lack pelvic fins, true, which gives them the appearance of a lovely, proud chest. Sure. And the researchers found that they're missing the gene TBX4, which is a regulator of limb development in both fish and mammals alike. Which, by the way, Matt, there's not a particularly good reason outside of evolution for teleost fish and mammals to use the same gene for limb development regulation. But okay. The seahorse genome also shows a distinct lack of smell-related or olfactory receptor genes, which could explain why they depend more on their eyes to navigate through the ocean than their sense of smell and taste, like many other types of fish. Which, again, by the way, Matt, means they probably couldn't survive a big violent flood, because they'd probably starve because they couldn't hunt.
Yeah.
The team found that they had a higher rate of neutral mutations, genetic changes that are neither beneficial nor detrimental to survival in their genetic history than other teleost fish, suggesting that their DNA can change at a faster rate. So, what Matt is
So
saying
let me
here...
be super clear. These are 4 quotes from, I think, 4 different sources, none of which are attested, all talking about, like, seahorse genetics, but not about, by the way, not about the genetics of the freshwater seahorses in Lake Titicaca.
Correct.
Right?
And
which
only the
is
last bit of which...
relevant population.
And only the last bit of which actually could suggest how they adapt. But also, all of these are related to evolution, Matt. All of these are about the evolution of seahorses, both as seahorses and from more basal signathiform fish, similar to things like trumpet fish, which are some of their closest relatives.
Suggesting their DNA changes at a faster rate than most animals, not X-Men style, right? Like, just because they're able to adapt or their DNA can change at a faster rate than average for animals.
Doesn't mean 4,000 years is going to cut it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, like,
I'm going to take a drink for Matt presenting us evidence.
You're trying to make.
I'm going to take a drink for Matt for presenting us with a number of lines of evidence for how seahorses evolved from non-seahorses, as if that is evidence that evolution is fake. Good job, Matt. Thank you.
Good job. Yeah, thanks, friend. Also, cite your sources. You got to tell us where this is from.
Yeah. Although these actually do sound like they're from real sources, so I think they probably are.
They do, but I can't check, and I can't see the context of the work.
Yeah, the only way to... Oh! Drink for Godzilla.
Cheers.
The only way to really check that would just be to type that into, like, Google Scholar in, like, quotations around the whole thing, and then just see what pops up. Prixie Purple for $2 says, letter is to letter as numeral is to number. Oh, no, sorry.
Excuse me,
letteral. Letteral. No, that's not a thing. A letter is a glyph, which represents approximately a single phoneme, ideally. They're rarely that actually clear, like, you know, cut and dry. But that is the goal of an alphabet. That is sort of the prototypical alphabet is there's a letter for each phoneme, and each letter is a glyph that indicates that you are to pronounce that phoneme next in sequence.
Okay, Dapper, but listen to this sound. Oh, that wasn't very good. Hold on.
That was worse.
I had a really good
It looks
jar
like you got
open.
Hendrix gin.
It is Hendrix gin.
Ooh, jealous.
And it's their Grand Cabaret.
Ooh.
It's like extra floral flavors, and
I like
it's
it.
so good. Is this the gin that got me in trouble on last month's stream? Maybe.
That sounds like a yes.
A lot more ocean life in that lake today. They were unable to adapt to the salt content changing to fresh water.
Why weren't
Yeah.
they? Hold on. If the seahorses in Lake Titicaca could do it,
Yeah.
why couldn't the seahorses in other lakes do it? Like, why aren't
That's a
there
good question.
seahorses in like Lake Chad? Please explain.
Pumapunku is in Bolivia.
That's
It is
true.
a-
Take a drink. Pumapunku is in Bolivia. Are we gonna get some ancient alien stuff here?
Mm.
The ancient alien guys love Pumapunku. They like to go around with a carpenter square and say, "Look how precise these 90-degree angles are," while they hold up carpenter square up to these rock like cutouts
that aren't
that
exactly
aren't
90
exactly
degree
not even
angles.
like really all that close. Yeah, there's like
Yeah,
obvious
it's
gaps.
real good. I've been watching a bunch of Minuteman.
Minuteman.
Minuteman, thank you.
There you go.
Perfect example of an antediluvian structure.
No, he's just saying it. Pumapunku is an antediluvian structure. This is from before the flood, everybody.
Wait,
Oh my god.
oh, antediluvian. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Wow. I'm gonna take a drink for Pumapunku is antediluvian, even though it's built on a bunch of Holocene sediment, which means no, it's not. My goodness.
Wait.
Yes.
Oh, never. No. Yep. Found it. Sorry. Sometimes it takes me a second on geologic time.
Ah, yes.
Um,
Holocene is
yep.
the current day.
Yeah. That's current. That's what I was like. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Nope. Wait. Yeah. Current.
So
Found it.
this is-
Amazing. Great.
Like Pumapunku is not that old in the grand scheme of things. It's not like it's 4,000 years old.
That we can see today. At 13,000 feet elevation, it's a South American ruin that predates the Mayans.
Matt, if someone had built it before the uplift, it wouldn't have survived the uplift. The uplift comes with like crazy earthquakes and the level of the ground shifting all over the place. But Pumapunku is still level and plumb basically everywhere where the stones are in their original position. No. Just that's not how that would work, Matt. When a thing is built before significant uplift or subsidence, people still usually make it, like level and plumb, right? Because that's how you build things, to make them stand and be easy to navigate and whatnot. And if there is significant uplift or subsidence, that tends to shatter foundations and make things off plumb and off level. But that's not what's going on here. So no, Matt, this was not built before the uplift. Also, it's built on recent rock, recent dirt, soil, whatever.
Yeah. It's built on a surface that by all creation models is post-flood.
Right. Like, oh my god.
This massive structure, with its
Self-consistency.
advanced stonework, was destroyed in a flood.
No, there is no evidence that Pumapunku was destroyed in a flood. It looks like it was probably abandoned. And then some of the buildings, some of the stones that were used to build it, were used in other construction projects. You know how we know that? Because we can see the Pumapunku stones elsewhere in the area being used for other buildings. And there's no evidence of like flood erosion or flood deposits or like flood runoff flow marks, like ripples, or anything like that. Pumapunku was a city built at a high elevation, in situ, using imported stone from not super far away, but significantly far away. And we still have the quarries. We still have the places where they dug up the rocks to make Pumapunku. How did the quarry survive the flood as a quarry, Matt? Why didn't it get filled in or something? What?
Or melted.
I'm taking another drink. I just can't with Pumapunku as antediluvian.
Amazing.
First of all, for a flood.
Also, I do want to point out the little subtle racism where he's like, this advanced stonework from before the flood, as if the people who are living in the area today couldn't have figured out how to make rock go stack on top of one another. Like,
Yeah. Oh, people are smart. Calm down.
right? It turns out that people who aren't Europeans can figure out how to put rocks on top of each other.
Yeah. Also, This drives me nuts about like discussions surrounding Native Americans in North America who like did right. We have like large earthenworks, right? It's just that like there were cities of tens of thousands of people that existed, right? But it's just that in North America, we like Native folks largely didn't build out of stone, right?
Yep.
And so it didn't last.
Yep.
But
And it also didn't help that when Europeans first showed up in North America, like 90% of the native population had been wiped out by smallpox spreading up from South America by that time.
yeah.
So it didn't seem like the kind of people who could make big cities, because at that point they couldn't, because they were almost all dead.
Yeah, because they'd just experienced something like nearly three times as deadly as the Black Plague.
Yeah.
That had ravaged the population for 100 years.
And so, that those scattered remnants of, all of these once great nations probably couldn't make a giant city out of earthenworks. But that's not because they were dumb. It's because they were mostly dead.
Plowed down the existing earthenworks.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then they weren't there. Cool.
It's like, hey, how come you didn't make any great cities? Well, we did. You just tore them all down after most of us died. I don't know. I don't see it right now, so it probably didn't happen. Okay, cool.
Probably didn't exist.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to hit play before I think too much more about the erasure of the archaeological sites of
like hit play
Native
or let
Americans.
Me drink.
Yeah.
Someone super chat so I can drink.
Yeah, or send some memberships so Maddie can drink a whole bunch.
Yeah. Guys, I've been watching Paw Patrol. Guys, my toddler woke up at 6 a.m. this morning, crawled into my bed, and was like, maybe we watch Paw Patrol? I was like, oh my god.
Also, I love this aerial shot. It's probably a drone shot, but like, look how cool it is that you can see like the outline of all these little chambers that have been built in there. That's just really cool footage.
That's really cool.
So, like, you know what, Matt? Great for you for getting some awesome B-roll. I appreciate it.
13,000 feet elevation is pretty incredible. Next, for a flood to move these...
It's not incredible, though. 13,000 feet is a height that people live at. Why is it incredible? What about building at 13,000 feet lacks credibility? Why can't you believe that someone built a thing? Things like Colorado exist. There's a country called there's countries like Tibet and Nepal where lots of things are built really high up. What about 13,000 feet is incredible? I don't get it. Also, now that Maddie has taken her 5 drinks, I'm going to take my 5 drinks. Well, Maddie explains to you why actually the Andorians were right all along in their conflict with the Vulcans.
Listen, in every episode of Enterprise I watched, when we were like, oh no, they're sneaky Andorians, they're so violent and bad, the Vulcans were doing exactly what they said.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the Andorians had a reason to be suspicious. Just saying. Also,
did.
Rando from chat would like to know why I let my toddler watch fascist propaganda. Because it's we're only in season 2, so maybe it changes. But for right now, there's nothing of more substance to this show than vroom vroom siren noise, than cool trucks go vroom and puppies. That's it. That's the full extent of the show.
Next year, Maddie's going to start showing her Law and Order.
Yeah. Boom, boom.
Megaton blocks and bury them in over 8 feet of mud is even more astounding.
Matt, 8 feet is nothing. What are you talking about? You're talking about a gigantic global flood that, according to you, buried things under like literal miles of sediment. And you're like, how could 8 feet of dirt get there? Because it was just dirt. It wasn't actually mud. So like, it's called soil erosion, Matt. It's called soil erosion. It's a thing. Look it up. When you look it up, you know what's probably going to come up right at the top of the page? Rapa Nui.
Mm-hmm.
You can learn about Rapa Nui. You might know it as Easter Island. Yeah, it's got the moai.
If it's like, how did these people build this into the... You can... Listen, if Milo Rossi has taught me anything, it's that you can accomplish a lot with near infinite human labor.
Yeah. It turns out that when you can compel labor, yeah. Josh
Yeah,
McGee's
when you
just
can
gifted
compel
5
labor.
Dapper Dinosaur memberships. We both took drinks for it separately. Thank you very much.
Cheers. So Lieutenant Matt the Navigator says for $5 you had to watch Paw Patrol at 6 a.m. That's got to be at least the 3rd level of hell. So 2 things have happened at the same time in my household, team. One, the toddler has discovered Paw Patrol. We
Rip.
put it off for 3.5 years, but she's discovered it. And 2, she's figured out how to get out of her bedroom.
Oh no.
Yeah. And so I have woken up every day for the last week to darkness and a tiny hand patting me going, "Mama, open eyes." And my kind of rule for myself is if it's before 6, I'm going to make her go back to her bedroom, right? We got to go back to her bedroom. We got to lay down. It's just how this is going to be. But if it's after 6, then I'll like pull her into bed and we'll cuddle for a bit, or we'll actually get up, something. And so this morning, that little tap, 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 open eyes, that is the actual sweetest thing on planet Earth. And I will like wrench my heart out when it stops, right? But that was at 6 a.m. on the nose this morning.
Oof,
and
right on the line.
there was like, I need chocolate milk. I need Paw Patrol. And so I'm like, all right, let's put on Paw Patrol while I get some coffee and see if I can't wake up a little bit. Oh. But I appreciate everybody in chat sympathizing with toddlers breaking containment. Is rough.
It's like when the dinosaurs break containment in Jurassic Park.
Just as dangerous, frankly.
As you can see, mini blocks are still covered to this day. Who knows how much is hidden from sight?
The people with the ground penetrating radar know. That's who knows.
But who knows?
Yeah, and they probably published it. So like we know. Or we can find out.
Yeah.
It's not a great mystery.
Mm-mm.
It's fine. Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $5 says, those ants could never have stacked those sand grains. They clearly had a white ant tell them how. Jeez. Oh. It's the same energy.
Same energy.
The degree to which people are like, yeah, but ancient people who are not from my particular culture, they were dumb though. Like, no, they weren't. You're just dumb.
The flood was so powerful that it not only buried the city, but was able to break apart these stones, and some of them were moved, weighing 131 metric tons. Since
Whoa.
no rivers flow into Lake Titicaca, which is the nearest water source to Pumapunku, the only explanation for the submerged ruins by scientists is that a major flood occurred that reached over 2 miles above sea level.
No, Matt. It's that the river itself had fluctuations in water level. Because if it had no inlets, then it would dry up. But it doesn't, so clearly it has inlets, which probably means subterranean water. Which can increase or decrease. Like, the water table isn't a set level at any location that never ever deviates, Matt. The water table can go up. And if the water table goes up and you built your settlement at the edge of a lake that's being fed from water from the water table, then your settlement gets submerged. That's it. That's the whole thing. That there's nothing more to it. There doesn't need to be anything more to it. That's it. That's literally it. This is not rocket science. It's not brain surgery. It's certainly not rocket surgery. This is just basic. Do you know how water works, Matt? Are you aware that things can go up and down in level? I would encourage you to go to Lake Mead. Actually, I think raw Matt might be Canadian, in which case don't go to Lake Mead because you shouldn't be entering the United States right now. But like, maybe take pictures, look at pictures of Lake Mead, and you will notice that it is much lower now than it was before, and that before it was much higher, but even before that, before the dam was built, it was much, much, much lower. Their whole sunken city is under Lake Mead. What could it mean? Was there a flood? No. No, it means the water levels rose because something changed. In this case, it was a human-made dam, but it doesn't have to be. Lakes go up and down in level all the time.
Mhm.
Yep. Find a lake near you. You live in
In
Canada.
fact-
There's a lot of lakes in Canada. Go find one. Put a stick
Yeah.
in the lake, like a concrete rod or something, and draw a chalk
Well-
line, or just carve a little line into where the water level is, and come back in 2 years. You'll probably find that the water level has changed.
And also, like, without modern engineering, right? Without dams and other, like, engineering mechanisms, those lake shorelines are way more volatile.
Oh, yeah. Also, Sammy LaFleur has upgraded their membership to Diapsid. That is the highest membership level on the channel, so thank you so much. That means I have
What?
to add your name to the list of names that I talk out loud at, or say out loud. I can't. Words are hard. Words are hard, everybody.
Dapper, how much gin have you had?
None, but I had a bunch of rum, and now I've moved on to tequila. So
Oh, okay. Excellent.
yeah,
You sound a little bit like no, you're not quite as I was bad this time.
were pretty
team.
bad.
I was having a time of it.
it was rough.
It was rough. I don't think I'd eaten all day.
Strawberry Vein for $5 says, my brother and I are watching classic Doctor Who, and the number of times human progress is explained by aliens help them is disappointing. Yeah.
That's disappointing.
Maddie, did you know that Kukulkan is an actual canon entity in Star Trek?
I did not.
It is in fact an alien that looks like a feathered rainbow serpent. And here's the thing: not only did it teach the South Americans how to build things, it also taught the Greeks and the Romans and other European cultures how to grow things or build things. And apparently, they just all forgot about him, and only the people in South America bothered to remember who was their great benefactor.
I see.
And it was actually like weirdly in response to like the writer of the episode feeling weird about the whole ancient alien thing, but not knowing how to tie it into a Star Trek the Animated Series episode. So he was like, all right, what if everyone got help? But some people just don't remember because they suck. And that's how Kukulkan entered Star Trek canon, which is better than the ancient alien bit from Chakotay.
Yeah. Well, the thing that drives me nuts about Ancient Aliens is like, guys, the fiction version, your fiction exists. It's called Stargate, right?
Yeah.
Like, just go nuts.
Yeah. Although at this point, it's also now to some degree Star Trek, because there's been multiple ancient aliens influencing Earth and Star Trek. So, you know.
Yeah.
I don't
The
like
Strange New World finale was deeply disappointing.
Well, we're going to be watching it on the channel after Enterprise. So. Olivia Williams, Purple Fairy, who's been a member for 46 months, says, it's so basic. How can he not get this with a Ghidorah? I don't know. I honestly don't know. The thing is, Ramat is conspiracy brained, right? But the thing is, he's channeled that into not the normal conspiracies, right? Because the normal conspiracies are like 9/11 was an inside job. The Jews, just broadly, the Jews.
He didn't land on the moon.
Didn't land on the moon. JFK was killed by the CIA. COVID is actually a bioweapon created by the Chinese to bring down society or something. Like, those are the typical conspiracies. But because Matt, his primary identity seems to be like hyper-conservative fundamentalist Christian.
Yeah.
That has taken up all of the conspiracy brain power that he has, which is not considerable, but it's broad. And so he will go down these crazy creationist rabbit holes that even most creationists wouldn't go down. Like, I'm not aware of any other creationists who are like, yeah, Pumapunku, totally antediluvian. That 8 feet of soil that's on top of it, flood deposit.
Flood.
Yep. Couldn't be anything else. I don't know anyone else doing that. Or like making up pre-Yiddish. I'll give Ramat this. As far as I know, he has not blamed anything on the Jews.
Yeah. Because that was a stream I was on, and he was trying to say, like, whatever language was spoken by this group prior to Yiddish, if I recall.
Yeah, he was basically trying to describe Aramaic, but he failed totally.
Yeah. And I think he got mixed up. I think he must have heard at some point the term, like, Proto-Hebrew, that's a real term, right?
Well, there's Proto-Canaanite, and there's Canaanite languages, of which Hebrew is one.
Okay. No, but there's I think I might refer to a writing system.
Oh, there's a script that is often called Paleo-Hebrew, but it's a weird term
Sorry,
for it.
yes,
but
that.
he probably
Okay.
has heard of it. Yeah, Paleo-Hebrew.
Paleo-Hebrew. That. I think that fused in his brain with Yiddish. And I mean, like, again, here's the thing. I'm not a linguist. I don't claim to be a linguist. I'm not on the internet talking about languages, right? And I forget what in the field are basic terms like Paleo-Hebrew. And I'm like, ooh, it starts with a P and means before. Paleo, proto, pre, right?
Yeah. Although, to be fair, Paleo-Hebrew is actually not a linguistics term. It is pretty much just an apologetics term.
Oh, okay. Wait, that's not like a... Okay.
That
Sorry, I've
script would
probably
usually
been,
just be like,
I probably needed both ears to the podcast I've been listening to instead of just one.
yeah, that script is basically just the Phoenician or the Canaanite abjad.
Oh, okay. So it's saying that, like, this is... Okay.
But a lot of people who are involved in apologetic stuff surrounding the Hebrew language like to call it Paleo-Hebrew. Also, the Black Hebrew Israelites like to call it Paleo-Hebrew.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
okay.
That's a weird group. At some point, I would like to go into like their weird nonsense about Hebrew, but it's hard to find like an encapsulation of it that's both like reasonably thorough and also not obscenely boring.
Okay. Yeah. But anyway, so the point I was trying to make is that no one is going to make a meme of me not remembering the term Paleo-Hebrew.
Right.
Right. Even if, or not recognizing that that's not a real term, right? Because in nowhere am I claiming to be an authority on the Hebrew language or its history, right? And so if Raw Matt had said that in a conversation like we're having right now, right? Or at least had the wherewithal to understand that Yiddish is a like mesh of German and Hebrew.
That's kind of
we
true.
wouldn't be still making fun of him for it.
No, it's because he
Right.
went on with authority to go on and say these things as the guest to whom we should all listen.
Yeah. It's because he's claiming to have authority on these things, right? That we make fun of him because it's real bad.
Yep.
Because I can't name dinosaur taxa. Jeez. I'm nervous about saying that phrase because I'm like, oh shoot, where in the Linnaean hierarchy does Dinosauria fall? I don't know.
Here's the fun thing.
I have literally never had a biology class in my entire life, even in high school, that made me memorize like genus, family, whatever.
Maddie, here's a fun thing about Linnaean hierarchy. It's all bullshit anyway. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah, this is the thing. I'm don't worry about it. Not my field. I don't gotta worry about it. I hang out with people who know stuff about that, and I'm like, cool, I'm gonna let you guys be the experts on it. And so sometimes I sound real dumb because I don't know this stuff. And
then we call you to complain about the tornadoes.
Yeah, because then I can talk about how you take the horizontal vorticity and you gotta shift it up with the wind shear to vertical vorticity, and then you get a nadir.
I'm gonna hit play.
Yeah.
Only a global flood could do this.
Or you
only
know,
a global flood event, Dapper. I'm drinking.
A few centuries of soil erosion is another option, but yeah, I'll take a drink. Yeah, that's only a global flood. Could bury the very recent Pumapunku under a few feet of dirt.
Yep. Only.
So this site is unique on Earth because
okay. I mean, no, Dapper, you have to pause because here at Pumapunku, it's 8 feet of dirt on top of ruins, right, of this antediluvian site, right? But in the Grand Canyon, it's the whole column. It's the whole depth of the Grand Canyon.
Yep. But here it's 8 feet.
But here it's 8 feet.
Yep.
But there, of dirt, not rock, mind you, right?
Yep.
But there, it's layer after layer after layer of rock. Homeboy, you gotta explain that.
No, he doesn't. He, in fact, doesn't have to explain anything because he says that what he says is in line with the Bible. And if you don't believe him about that, that means you don't believe in the Bible. And if you don't believe in the Bible, then you're going to HELL double hockey sticks.
I firmly believe that modern Christian fundamentalism has, I firmly believe that they worship the Bible, not God, right? They have made an idol of the Bible.
You are not the only person to make that claim.
Yeah.
Important things. Our antediluvian ancestors were advanced in building and technology, and that a global flood occurred.
And again, I want to remind everyone, what he's saying here is that the current inhabitants of the land, who cannot have been the people who built Pumapunku, because if it's antediluvian, then these people went back to South America as descendants of Noah, not the original people here. So he is, again, denying the ability, the technology to build Pumapunku to the people whom we know built it.
Yeah. Also, isn't he denying it to brown people? Because don't we only get brown? Don't we only get melanin after the flood?
I don't actually know what his line would be on the melanin content of the skin of Noah's family. Presumably Noah's sons would have all had similar amounts of melanin, but I guess their wives could have had wildly varying amounts. Maybe one of the wives was super dark skinned and one of them was pale as an Irish person who's never been outside. I don't know.
Like me.
Yeah. I actually did once see a video where there was an Irish woman and I thought that she had like corpse makeup on from a death metal band, and no, that was just her skin. I was like, oh, I didn't know skin could get that light. That's weird. Man. That's weird.
My kiddo is pale. With red
The gray
hair.
stones that you're seeing in this picture are from 44 miles away. The weight of the huge foundation blocks, no one even knows.
I like that dude just walking in
Yeah.
on the left end
Also,
of that video.
What do you mean no one knows? We know what they're made of. We know what their approximate volume is. So you can just take their density and multiply it by the volume, and then you get their mass. Even if no one has done that, it's not like it's some insurmountable challenge to figure out. You could just go do the math.
You could figure it out. It's not that hard.
You could even do it by just knowing what are the approximate dimensions of Pumapunku and looking at an aerial map and be you could get within an order of magnitude. Is this rock 10 tons or 1,000,000 tons or 1,000 tons? You could get to that at the very least.
Yeah.
Look, people could drill.
A drill hole.
Wow.
I just watched Milo Rossi go through this.
Got the ruler. Look at the amazing angles.
Look at how perfectly flat it is. This is not hard, team. You can use water to do it.
Yeah, water, sand, and copper. We know they had all those things. That's it.
Yeah, I do love Milo Rossi's this sounds like you have soft hands argument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how we're just looking at stonework from Pumapunku, which is admittedly impressive,
it's
but
really cool.
But it's not an argument for anything. Yeah.
It's very impressive that this was built. That doesn't mean I think it's impossible.
Yeah. And actually thinking that is it's more than a little racist to be well, the stupid native people here in Pumapunku that are in the surrounding villages and whatnot, their ancestors couldn't have done that, obviously.
Yeah.
No. What is the Matt, say something. Tell us why you're showing us these pictures.
We're looking at cool rocks and cool buildings.
I mean, they are cool, but what does that have to do with anything? Oh, look, a bracket.
Yeah.
Well, the hole for a bracket. Wow, people holding stones
Whoa.
together with things that are no longer there.
Whoa, the letter H. They knew English.
Don't give him ideas. Don't give him ideas. What is this?
Pepper, we're gonna make so much progress in this video.
Yeah, because he's just not saying anything.
Because he's not
It's
saying
just
anything.
aerial shot, admittedly cool aerial shots of Pumapunku.
Yeah.
Which, like, okay. I don't think anyone's disputing that Pumapunku both exists and is cool.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's pretty neat. Lots of H blocks, lots of foundation rocks. And also, I like how he said, like, it's from 44 miles away, as if, like, that's supposed to be some kind of, like, impossible feat. Like, yeah, it's 44 miles. Like, that's a good hike, but, like,
Okay.
what are we supposed to do with that information? Like, is that impossible? Could they not have moved a rock 44 feet or 44 miles?
Yeah. So back in 2019, I got to go to Ecuador, and it was super cool.
Neat.
I like stood on the equator. I did have a local guide try to tell me that Coriolis Force didn't exist, and I was like, "Honey, it's 0 here, but like, it's non-zero further north." And he was like, "No, Coriolis is made up." And I'm like,
That's when you just move on. You're like, okay, cool, thanks.
"Yeah, I've got to move on." Well, because like apparently some like folks have like a little a sleight of hand magic trick where they'll have something that spins one way and then they cross the equator and it spins the other.
Yeah.
To be like, look, Coriolis. And I'm like, listen, you're right that's fake.
Right.
Because Coriolis at the equator is 0. But you're wrong that it's 0 everywhere. Please come with me to the Arctic. I'll tell you all about it. But what was really cool was that the like local indigenous population had a beautiful shrine to mark the passage of the sun, like right on the equator.
That's cool.
The flood
It was
of Noah
really
lines
cool.
up.
And then there was a separate location where French scientists in the 1700s came and they said, well, you guys were close, you did a good job, but really this is where the equator is. And the French were totally wrong. The indigenous folks had it.
Nice.
Like, as close as you can get without GPS, right? Like,
Good job, everybody.
yeah, that was great. So we hung out at the indigenous site. It was
nice.
Good. With the evidence that we see in the world today. Scientific investigation has revealed over 1,800 oil well boreholes from 4
Matt, do you think
archaeologists dug up boreholes?
Yeah, how do you think boreholes work? Do you think they were left by the mysterious ancients? Like, oh, this is a 5,000-year-old oil borehole. Like, no, it's not. No. No, I'm taking a drink for scientists have uncovered oil exploration borehole. What do you Matt, learn what words mean. Just a few of them.
Just a few of them. Just the ones you talk about.
Jeez. Oh, you know what? After this, I'm going to go and I'm going to discover some water in my refrigerator. And I'm going to discover a glass on my shelf. And I'm going to discover some ice in the freezer. And I'm going to put them all together. And I'm going to discover a straw. And I'm going to discover how to drink water with the scientists. We're going to make all these discoveries. And later on, I'm going to go discover my mattress as I fall asleep.
Yeah.
I'm going to uncover the mattress. It's a mystery.
I'm not going to lie. I'm going to go to bed so soon.
Actually, you know, we are at basically the time to start wrapping things up. Maddie, you got anything coming up?
There, but by the grace of God, I will be Commander Duelist on Friday.
Okay. If you're not, we'll probably delay because I want everyone there for the season finale.
Okay.
All right. So, here on this channel, Thursday. Actually, yes, tomorrow. Tomorrow, actually, I'm going to be on Dr. Dan's channel with Erica, and we're going to be going over some Robert Carter nonsense. Because Robert Carter showed back up on ICR's YouTube page, talking nonsense about human genetics and evolution and stuff like that. So we're going to cover that. And that'll be at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Then on the 19th, Thursday, sexual selection is fake. 5 reasons that creationists are idiots. That is going to be the third part of the series with Don Batten. Do note that there, when I was scripting this, I could not find the source he was using, but people did subsequently find the source. So the script assumes that I could not find this, that the source was just not available to me. And it was not available to me because I failed to find it. I was looking around and I couldn't do it. So there is that. There is some updated information in the description and in the pinned comment about that fact. So if you want to come at me about like, well, actually I did find the source. Yeah, I get it. So that'll be at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Then on Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, Star Trek Endurance on Top Hats Off should be the next thing that happens there with hopefully Maddie, as well as a number of other people who are in and around the channel. Then on Saturday, I will be back with hopefully Kip and Vishanti, and we will take a look at more reasons why the 1611 King James Version of the Bible is in fact the original version of the Bible that God wrote.
It's such a good series, team. I never catch it live, but I love the VODs.
It sure is a thing that these people are saying.
It is one of the claims.
Yeah, that is definitely one of the claims of all time. Of all the claims that have ever been made, that is certainly one of them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so with that being said, if you have access to my Discord server, we are going to be going over there and watching in general chat Star Trek and not Endurance, Star Trek Enterprise. There we go. We're going to watch a couple episodes of that, and then we're going to get out of here. And then I'm going to see how I feel because I have more audio to record. But depending on how I feel, it might not happen tonight because there's tequila in this glass.
Proud of you.
Thanks. All right, everybody. Stay safe out there. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. And remember, ice must be abolished. Hey, before you leave, I just want to take a second to thank my patrons and channel members, especially those pledging $20 or above. Sealoof, Benthovend, Tapioca Weasel, Michał Dominiak, Sphincter of Doom, Regios, Landon Knoll, Ian Chen, Eleron Teller, Phil Rivara, Kelvin Brostock Van Manen, David Hercules, Joshua Geese, Dan Sheedy, Pegajace, The Plastic Mouse, Arrow Dodger, Gordon Loves Science, Amber Athelian, Prixie Purple, Agricola Sequa, Me, Myself, and I, Fits of Rage 23, Edwin M., Kenneth Swanson, and John Ackerman. It's because of my channel members and patrons whom you're seeing on screen that this channel can stay afloat. Without you, it would all shut down. If you want to join the team, there's a link to join the channel below this video, and there's a link to join the Patreon in the description. On the Patreon, you can get a 15% discount for pledging annually, and either way, you get early access to virtually all of my scripted videos months before they come out for the general public. Thanks for watching.